In this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast, we have on Mr. Robin Thurston, who is the CEO and founder of Outside Interactive. It's so important for us to just hear some of these statistics, some of the importance of getting outdoors more. And this is something that I think is really impactful and important to just get outside. We are going to be diving into this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast.
Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Kerry Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact.
It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee-yee. All right, Mr. Robin Thurston, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my man. I'm super excited to rock the mic with you.
Well, I'm excited to be here, Kerry.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a fun one. I got to say, we have a lot in common. I mean, you and I are big outdoorsmen. You're also a serial entrepreneur. You're the CEO and founder of Outside Interactive, the world's leading creator of outdoor content and experiences. And you're a happy hustler, like through and through. And I'm just excited to just share with the happy hustlers the importance of getting outside, both for like your health and well-being, but also for your business and how those correlate, and just talk about your entrepreneurial journey, because you've had some very interesting businesses in the past. So I'm excited to get into all that, Robin. But before we do, what's something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
What's something interesting about that not too many people know? A lot of people think entrepreneurs like basically, work 24/7. And, one thing that I really is a priority for me is being home at the end of the day with my 3 kids and could be building Legos, could be, a little dance party with my girls. It could be, going through some homework, but it's really important to me that, my family sort of comes first and that they're a priority. And so I don't think everybody knows that about me, because sometimes, you get this perception like you're just a hard driver.
Yeah, man. And that's really that's honestly, I think the problem, there's this like entrepreneurial burnout culture that's glorified. And then what happens is their family oftentimes takes the brunt of that pain and angst. I'm just curious. I want to go a little deeper here, because this is very important. How do you intentionally create that time in your schedule to prioritize not just your professional life, but your personal life?
I think that you have to pick, because look, as entrepreneurs, we have so many sort of asks and, things that are coming at us. And, one is, I would say that the better the team you build, the more likely it is you can carve out time for other things in your life that are really important. But I think a lot of it is just prioritization. It's kind of like working out. I do something every single day, whether it's an hour on the bike, indoors, outdoors, whether it's, doing a quick hike or a walk around the block, skiing. And, I think that is just about prioritization, right? It's hard to find that time, that hour, that 2 hours to do that. But I think family's similar. And I think, a lot of times, I think unfortunately, I think divorce rate with entrepreneurs is higher than the national average. And I just think you have to find a way to make these priorities. The one thing I would say is I picked a window for me. It's sort of right at the end of the day to, past bedtime for the kids. And my kids luckily are young and, they go to bed pretty early, but I picked that window and, put the phone up and really just try to be present, during that, 2.5 hour stretch sort of consistently, so that my kids know that that's a time they can really be with me. My wife knows she can count on me then. The rest of the time is hard because there are so many things coming at us, but I do think it is just about prioritization. Same with working out.
Yeah, man. And here it is. I hope all the happy hustlers are really taking note. Robin is the CEO of a major company, and he still prioritizes his family and his self, like, because you're working out because you got to give to yourself so you can give to others and to your team and to your business.
Yeah.
And I think this is often overlooked, and I really am glad you went there early, because this is something that I'm really huge on. I have my like 10 alignments of being a happy hustler, and it's like this framework of all the 10 most important things I need to focus on every single day. And so I actually quantify and measure where I'm at in each of these different, and the happy hustlers out there know the framework, and they actually implement it. It's all part of the book and everything. But this is something like you have to have intentionality with. And I'm sure, can you recall a time when this wasn't your everyday routine, where maybe you were burning the candle at both ends?
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly many times in my first company, MapMy, and I certainly wouldn't say that it's never happened at Outside. It certainly has happened during, stressful periods where maybe the balance gets, whacked out. But I think that you just always have to kind of recenter. I mean, it's the same thing. Like the other thing I use frequently that I think would be valuable to your listeners is, like, as an example, even 5 to 10 minutes of outdoor time between meetings will increase productivity by 45%. It increases, blood flow, which is going to help you focus and, potentially be a better, manager, leader, entrepreneur. So like I say consistently, like, set your meetings for 45 minutes and use the incremental 15 minutes as a break outdoors, because I promise you will perform better in the next 45-minute window if you go do that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you mentioned that and the statistics around it. You and I both know Jared Hanley. He was actually on the show, Nature Quant, and he dropped a bunch of nerdery around, like, how to actually quantify the importance of nature. But like, I think people intuitively know they feel better when they're outside, but they just, for whatever reason, it becomes an afterthought. Why do you think it is? Like, why do you think nature, like, why do you think we're spending 96% of our time indoors, instead of like being outdoors in primal? Like, what do you think is that root cause?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at, from really the industrialization period, and, you think about, large factories versus farms, and you think about the transition that we've gone through over the last, call it 200 years, 150 years, in some ways, it's just getting a lot worse. And what I mean by that is that, I as an example, I went to CES in Vegas at the beginning of the year, and I left pretty depressed, because what the realization I had was, like, there are trillions of dollars of investments going into trying to keep us on screens and indoors, right? If you had the same level of investment going into, getting people outdoors, getting them, appreciating nature, like, we would have a totally different ecosystem. Yeah. So I think a lot of it is what we are competing against as outdoor people, and how do you keep that balance? Because I will tell you, like, I have 3 little kids, and they don't have phones, but, screen time is it is a problem, because the dopamine reaction of the screen it's like smoking. I mean, it's worse in some ways, Yeah. And so I just think that what we're fighting against is, a huge amount of sort of industry and, push to get us to spend more and more time watching content on screens, interacting with it. I mean, and COVID accelerated this, right? While there was more outdoor time for some people, COVID accelerated the sort of indoor on-screen time for kids because of Zoom classes and, all this stuff. And so I believe this is what we're fighting against. We're fighting against this sort of, again, industrialization of capturing as much time from us as possible. And, there was a saying that I used at Under Armour when I sold MapMy, which was like, data is the new oil. I think actually data is more valuable than oil. And I think the goal of the biggest companies in the world is to capture every moment of our lives and quantify it for their own use, advertising, selling us new products, whatever. And, I think that is taking away from our outdoor time.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, what people don't understand is how outgunned we are. Like, the human brain is not designed to combat the millions and billions of dollars of R&D that goes into creating these sticky, dopamine dropping social media platforms that are just like causing us to be so addicted to our devices. And you have to be super intentional and create barriers, or else you're just going to succumb to the natural human tendencies of this device and what it provides you. And I think people, I know I've fallen victim to it. I'm sure you have in some cases as well. It's like you can get caught up. Whoa, there just went 30 minutes like looking at something stupid online. It's crazy.
I mean, my this is one of my biggest pieces of advice to entrepreneurs. Last year, not this last Christmas, but a year ago Christmas, I deleted Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok all off my phone. I do not have them on my phone.
Smart.
And I can tell you that my daily usage on a phone has gone down dramatically. The other biggest hack that you can do on your phone to get your brain from wanting to view it is turn it to grayscale. Turn off the colors. Turn off the colors.
Yeah.
You will use your phone a lot less if it's grayscale. Promise you. Right.
Those are try super tactical. I love that.
Yeah. Just try it for a week. I promise you will be more productive in everything else you're doing. Now, some entrepreneurs tell me, oh, well, I need social media to know what's going on in my business. And I'm like, no. You can look at that on your computer on the weekend. You don't need to you don't need to know everything that's going on in every moment that people are talking about your business in real time. That's not how businesses have operated for thousands of years. Your business will sustain until the weekend when you have time to look at that. But I just think it's been a game changer for me in terms of time and usage and how I think about spending my time.
I love that, man. I know I can recall a couple dopamine detoxes that I've done in the past. I typically would do them once a quarter, where it's just a complete 7-day, no YouTube, no social media, no Netflix, no nothing. And even the last time I did it, I made more money and more impact than the whole month from just that 1 week. And I was like, okay, something we got to change, what I'm doing here, because it's proven, it's tested. Robin's telling you guys, if you want to start to really happy hustle in alignment and be more productive than ever before, delete the social media from your phone and put it on grayscale, or put it on grayscale, right? I mean, those are great tips. I love that.
Yeah.
Any
Super
other
easy
tips
to do.
like that? You got any other tactical things?
Well, I just think the biggest thing I think for most humans is, trying to, I think as an entrepreneur, you get stuck in this thing where you start eating poorly, you start sleeping poorly, you don't work out. And then all of a sudden, a year goes by and you just feel like crap and it's really hard to function. So I do believe that eat, sleep, and, your fitness and your emotional connections to people, whether, like I said, whether that's a meeting, a walking meeting, a group hike, similar to what you and I did with Bart, my point is these things are things that are must do's with the level of stress that I think many entrepreneurs are under. And I try not to compromise on those fronts because of how important I think they are for just balance.
Yeah. Ooh, you nailed it. When it comes to a day in the life of Robin, I'm curious because you guys, you have 80 million of the most active consumers in the world on your platform, right? Outside magazine, outside online, outside, you guys are a huge company. How many employees do you have underneath you right now? Or in the
we have 365. 365.
Yeah. That's massive. No. That I'm just curious.
Well, we're still a small company. We're not NBC Universal. We're not, but yeah. It's a lot of people doing a lot of great things to get people outdoors.
Yeah, but the point is, it's all relative, right? There's probably a 1% of companies that are bigger than you, but I would say 99% of them are smaller, right? And I'm just curious, when it comes to a day in the life of Robin, how are you managing your health, your wellness, your family time, and being an amazing entrepreneur and CEO of this company. What is like, walk us through, if you don't mind, maybe go from the morning and just kind of give us the broad strokes of some of like the most important things you do that keep you in balanced flow.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm not traveling, my days are pretty like consistent. I get up, I work out, I get up at about 6 a.m. I spend a little bit of time with the kids because they're up early. I work out first thing in the morning because I do not work out well after work. It just doesn't work for me. And then, I'm either in the office or I'm, starting on the phone at, 8:30, 9 in the morning. And it is back to back. I mean, it is, again, I try to segment off and do some meetings. I might walk or, meet people for coffee just so I get some outdoor time, but it's pretty packed until, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then I'm home for dinner all the way, like as I said, through bedtime, where I'm just trying to be like disconnected and with, the family. And then, after they go to bed, usually I'm up working 10, 11, midnight, just like cranking through stuff. And then when I'm on the road, I typically try to go to things like I was just in Deer Valley for one of our events, our World Cup events. I got to ski 2 days with customers. So I try to do events where I am going to get a chance to be outdoors and interact, with partners or things like that. So like I encourage people to look for those moments too, where they can, again, sort of marry their passions. Like, I do meetings on the bike. Frequently I'll schedule, a ride with partners if they're in Boulder or I have to go somewhere to ride. So that's pretty typical on a day-to-day basis for me. And, on the weekends, I actually try to be off. I do have work on the weekends, but I try to, like I'm picking up kids and driving around and, certainly trying to do things around the house that are helpful and, things like that. So I mean, in some ways I would say my existence is somewhat boring, because it is so methodical. But, to me, this is part of like what, trying to do all the things and put them together in sort of a cohesive way means.
Yeah. And I think just one thing I want to extract from you and your routine is like how you are marrying the outside time and the time where you're doing business. I always say mixing business with pleasure. Like that's really where the sweet spot is, and you can do that.
100%.
You could be intentional with your time. Like that's why, again, we mentioned it, those Montana masterminds where you go out in the backcountry, like that's mixing business with pleasure. It's like
100%.
I think you can find those things for yourself, whatever your life looks like, so that you're combining these things together. I am just curious when we talk about like you and your day-to-day operations with the company, like how do you lead effectively this amount of people? I mean, what would you say if you had to extract maybe the greatest leadership lesson that you've learned from your time as being an entrepreneur? You've grown large teams and you've had to be responsible for people and their emotions and fires that come up. And I'm just curious, like, do you have a leadership ethos or mindset that you could maybe share with the Happy Hustlers?
Well, I mean, first, hiring a great team is critical. I mean, you got to have people that are, masters of their profession and want to grow in their careers, leading these teams. Cause I'm certainly far, far from a micromanager. Like I don't really operate that way. I like to get in the detail on some things like product because I'm using the products every day. And, whether it's Gaia GPS or it's Trailforks or, so like I will send notes to the team about things that I'm seeing, or like we're in the process of we just pushed our new outside app to the App Store yesterday. So nice. Like I'm pretty deep in the weeds on that. But generally, you obviously have to build a great team to lean into. I would say something that I have not always been good at, but that I'm really, really trying more recently is much more personalized recognition. And what I mean by that is like most of my career working at big companies, whether it was Reuters, Wellington, even when I started MapMy, I would say I did a lot of cookie cutter or sort of peanut buttering of recognition, Like I just kind of like treated everybody the same. You know, I recognize things. I'm not great at celebrating, so I'm trying to do that a bit better too. But what I mean by personalized recognition is few managers really get into the details of like what is important to that individual from a recognition perspective. Like few managers spend the time.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I gotta tell you about something I'm super excited about. This is something very unique that we do at the Happy Hustle, and that is the Montana Mastermind Epic Adventures. See, you can listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, read books, acquire all this knowledge, but I believe the best way to achieve ultimate success and fulfillment is to actually align yourself and connect with like-minded, badass, high-performing, heart-centered humans. And that's why it's important to go to masterminds. Now, whether you go to the Happy Hustle masterminds or you go to other ones, that's on you. But I got to tell you about the one that we're doing upcoming in March, the 22nd through the 26th, which is going to be sweet, especially if you love snowboarding and skiing. If you're a high-performing male entrepreneur who's making over six figures, who wants to network with a rock star group of just badass, world-class happy hustlers while shredding some pow-pow, this may be for you. We have an amazing mountain mansion, which you could ski right into. We got a professional chef cooking up some delicious, healthy meals. We're going to be doing masterminds where we share wins and, you know, challenges and adversities and just how to overcome them. We're going to be soaking our bodies at natural thermal hot springs. We're going to be enjoying some super cool activities like ice fishing and hiking and campfires and other awesome stuff. And we're going to be digitally detoxing from our devices. That's most important. So if you're interested, hurry up and apply because there's truly only a couple spots. This isn't like a tactic. We only have a couple spots left based on the number of beds in the mansion. So if you want in, you can go to thehappyhustle.com/mastermind. Okay. Now, and if you don't like skiing and snowboarding, no worries. We do have some amazing epic camping adventures coming up this summer. So check them out. If you like camping in the backcountry wilderness, if you want to learn primitive survival skills and fly fish and, you know, dip in cold plunge, amazing alpine lakes and just hike up these remote mountain trails and really just connect with Pachamama, our beautiful planet. We do have these summer trips coming up too, which are filling up fast. So that's it. Let's get back to this episode, but I just wanted to let you know you can go to thehappyhustle.com/mastermind to apply today. All right, let's get back into it.
To do that. And so I've been recently really trying to do that with my team and really understand what things are valuable to them on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis from a recognition perspective, because I fundamentally believe that we have I'm saying the world has a massively disengaged workforce, massively.
So true.
I think it all comes back to recognition, like how well you, and I'm far from perfect. Like, I'm just saying this is something I'm working on. So, you know, that's something very recently that I've been spending a lot of time on with my direct reports, as well as how they sort of show up for their teams. Because I think culturally it'll make a big difference for us in the long run. We're like I said, this is very early days, but it's something that we're just beginning to really spend a bunch of time on.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I mean, according to Gallup's State of the Global Workplace study, 2 out of every 3 employees are disengaged or actively disengaged. And you hit the nail on the head. That's actually what's interesting. Like, I've been pushed. You know, I typically serve entrepreneurs with the Happy Hustle framework to just help them create that personal and professional life balance. But now a lot of their team wants to implement this as well. And it's just because what you said, the culture is lacking that happiness and that productivity. So now I'm taking the Happy Hustle framework and infusing it into companies to increase happiness, culture, and productivity. And I think recognition is such a huge part of it. I've never heard it said like you did, which I think is really unique, like the personal recognition, like what actually is going to make that person feel fulfillment and grateful, right?
Yeah,
to work there.
And there's a lot of like, you know, examples here. Like, you know, I'm using examples. Some managers are incredibly good about what I call public recognition, right? But what if only 50% of your people like public recognition? Some people like, I mean, as an example, if I stood up at a wedding or at an event and I said in front of a big crowd how much I love my wife and how like proud I am of her, she would be mortified. She hates public recognition, hates it, right? She doesn't like people like looking at like, and so like you have to realize that like, if you're a manager that's just like, I'm going to publicly recognize everybody, you might actually be turning off 50% of your workforce or more. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think like you got to really, really get at the heart of what is important to people and try to follow through on those things, because I think it creates a more engaged workforce. Yeah. And again, I would say it is early days for me on this. Like my whole career, I've done what I call peanut buttering in terms of recognition, like Amazon gift cards and Starbucks gift cards and stuff like that. And the reality is it doesn't work. It doesn't. Yeah. It does for some people, but not for the majority of people.
Yeah. No, you have to understand your people and what makes them tick and really empathize with their situation. Just in terms of your entrepreneurial journey, I feel called to ask you this, Robin. You've had some very diverse experiences with the entrepreneur game. What would you say is your greatest mistake that you've made along the journey and that lesson that can be extracted from that mistake?
I would say for me that I think most people like, and I'd say the majority of employees and external partners and, even your fans, right, of whatever company you're building, I don't care what it is. I think they can handle more information than you think they can handle. And I think probably the biggest mistakes that I've made are in not, in some ways, over communicating good or bad changes. Like this could be something really positive on the product side. It could be that unfortunately we had to make some staff reductions last year. And I probably could have over communicated more. And I think it would have helped us instead of hurt us. And so I just think for a lot of entrepreneurs, slowing down, or even I use an example, like this is something we're talking a lot about right now, like having a really good comms person is invaluable. If you're that size of company, or you as the CEO over spending more time than you anticipate on communication, I think is something like I have fallen down on. I wish I was better at it. I wish I'd built a bigger team around it, because I think that those are certainly areas that I have suffered the consequences of not over communicating.
Yeah, powerful takeaway. I mean, over communicating. And I think that transparency is what our customers crave. That's how you build trust, is when you're vulnerable and you're transparent and you say, hey guys, I messed up, or hey, we're doing something great, I want to share. It's like when you keep it real, like people's BS meters are higher than ever these days too. Like they can sense when you're being inauthentic, or when that's a rented Lambo behind you. It's like, come on,
they know. They know.
Yeah.
They know.
It's just like, you got to keep it real. And I always go back to like, different is better than better. Like just being different too, being, unapologetically you is like what people really want to see now. You guys have a lot going on with Outside. Talk to us about the different products and services. Just go through the gamut, if you would, and maybe the one that you're most excited about right now.
So we definitely have a lot going on. I think a lot of it is about focus. I think, we made a pretty major decision last year. We had a bunch of different, almost like membership types and levels, and we went to a single membership, which has really, really worked out for us. So I would say the biggest part of the company is focused on how to put the right value set of tools, services, content, distribution, all of those things into the membership, which is Outside Plus. And I'm really excited about, we have a new app coming out that's going to be out shortly for our Outside Plus customers. We're integrating Outside Plus into more and more things that we do. And, so that right now is, I would say, the number one focus of the company is how to drive membership, because it very much is about, like, I knew when I took on this business and buying up all these, sort of old world media companies, that I was going to take a lot of heat about changing what they had done for a long time. But the problem is a lot of them were losing tremendous amounts of money. And so I'm in some ways, we're reinventing the entire model for these companies. And it's painful. Like, there are definitely readers mad at me about ending print in some categories. We still have Outside Magazine, but like Yoga Journal, Backpacker, VeloNews, print are gone. And that was a very hard decision for me, but it was the right one because those print publications were losing a lot of money. So I think that it is hard to make change. You have to constantly focus on like the longer term, like what is the outcome that you want to get to. And so for us, that's membership. Like, we want to reinvent the media model and have a lot more packaged into it for, the outdoor enthusiast. And, so that's what we're working on. We got a, lot of things coming that I'm excited about as part of that, that membership layer, but that's really where the majority of the focus of the company is.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. It's one subscription to fuel all your adventures, right? Talk to us, just where can people go to actually sign up if they're interested in learning more? Where can people go?
You can go to outsideonline.com/outside plus. Most of the sites will have some sort of membership for Outside Plus on the site. So whether you're going to Gaia, you're going to Trail Forks, you're going to Pink Bike, you will see the Outside Plus sort of like upsell and promotion into it. You can find it on pretty much any one of our properties, but you can go to Outside Online to find it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a very like robust offering because there is so much in there. Like Trail Forks Pro, you mentioned it. Just for people who aren't familiar, just explain what that is.
Well, it's an outdoor mapping company that primarily focuses on mountain bikes. A lot of very cool mountain bike features, like even airtime. Like when you're jumping off jumps, it'll tell you airtime and a bunch of cool things. But it's about finding the right trails. You could certainly use it for hiking and horseback riding and skiing and all of the other things, but it certainly was built around the mountain bike community. What you're paying for in terms of premium is premium map access. So like, let's say you're traveling from Boulder, which is your home, to Seattle, and you want that access, you have to pay for that additional map access for that area. Gaia GPS is also in there. That's sort of the, elite backcountry tool, mapping tool. I think it has 57 map layers to pick from: precipitation, snow depth, river depth. Like, there's all kinds of things that you can get for all of your outdoor adventures, from kayaking to skiing to backpacking. So those are our two big mapping utilities that you get as part of Outside Plus, which, historically both of them individually cost about $36. So those two tools alone, Outside Plus is cheaper than just those two tools standalone, right? If you buy both of them. But then you get, all of our, like, we have a platform called Outside Learn, which is like masterclass for the category. And there's photography with Jimmy Chin and, all kinds of people in there teaching you classes on how to ski better, yoga classes, backpacking, there's a class in there on how to pack your pack. That's really cool.
Nice.
So there's tons of stuff in Outside Learn. We obviously have Watch, which includes everything from World Cup skiing to Ironman to a bunch of other things that are part of that, the live TV platform, as well as a huge library of films and TV series and things that are in there for you to get access to. And of course, the award-winning content that we have on all the sites that is, now behind a meter paywall. So you're getting access to that, as part of in supporting journalism and supporting, kind of what we're building here at Outside. So there's a lot in there for $60 a year.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, if you're an outdoors enthusiast, like, you guys check out outsideonline.com/outside plus. We'll link it up in the show notes as well. But I mean, there's a ton there, and it's basically like one meal out for the whole year, so very cool. Robin,
or six coffees.
Yeah, 6 coffees. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Now, I have to ask you this, and this is going to be a tough one because I know you spent a lot of time outside, but if you have to really distill down to your fondest memory outside, or at least one of your fondest memories outside, tell us that story.
I have a lot of amazing times and places in the world I've been, outside and cycling and hiking and, skiing. But I will tell you that the first time that I took my kids skiing, for me, like, it was at Beaver Creek. It was just a really special moment, and it wasn't easy. Like, they were crying half the time, and it was snowing, but like, I just remember that day because I was like, these beings that, my wife and I created, they're like out here skiing and like doing the thing, It was just awesome for me, and I will never forget that moment. I mean, I have a lot of other amazing moments on, passes and climbs and, places around the world that, like, again, I'm very fortunate that I had the chance to go to, but it's special being out there with your kids. Yeah,
I can imagine. I'm not a father yet, but hoping to put a couple babies in my wife ASAP. And, I look forward to those kind of moments. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what life's about, right? Those time. And, at the end of the day, like, Robin and I are talking about getting outside, but those are what life is really, truly about. Those magic moments. You're not going to want more money at the end of the day. You're going to want more experiences, like Robin just mentioned. And that is why we're talking. That's why, like, the benefits of being outside more are just exponentially great. And you have to just realize we've been living like indoor zoo animals. We have our toxic blue lights shining on us. We're just breathing in that recycled air. And then we have this 5G, electromagnetic frequencies just beaming us all day. And then we get into our zoo cage on wheels, which is our cars, and then we go to our high-rise zoo cage, to overlook, the other animals. And it's like, we're not spending enough time outdoors. And I just think it's just so important. What you guys are up to. It's an uphill battle. I'll give it to you. It's an uphill battle. Like, come on, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me that the average kid in the U.S. is only spending 4 to 7 minutes a day outdoors, and
wow.
I mean, it's tragic. It's like, and I do think my hope is we are about at peak screen time. I hope that we are, and I think parents are really realizing it. You got the mental health crisis in teenagers. We're spending too much time on TikTok and social media in general and screens. So I hope we're there, and we're going to be getting better from here. But it's not obvious yet when you go to something like CES.
Oh my gosh, I've been there. I've been to CES. I've been there multiple times, and it is crazy. Like, we're talking about the Consumer Electronics Show, for those people who don't know, and it's in Vegas. It's like one of the biggest, conferences in the world, and it is all these tech companies coming together to try to see how they can get more users, more people on their devices. And it's outside is like, it's still fighting the good fight, but it's tough to compete against all these people. You almost have to hope that there's just this resurgence of knowledge and intuition that just comes through based on the burnout that is being experienced from the mental health crisis. And you don't want that to happen, but that's almost like what needs to happen in order for people to really wake up and snap out of it. We're like zombies. It's crazy. It's sad. I'm also not perfect. I'm just the reporter, right? What I see working in my life, I'm much happier when I'm outside more. And I know Robin is too. So this is awesome, man. I really appreciate you. I want to put you through a couple of the Happy Hustle hack questions, and then the rapid fire round, and then we'll wrap this interview up. Basically, these are a tip, a tool, a tactic, something that you do that maybe is a little unique in a couple different categories. First, I want to ask you about health. We've talked about it a couple times, but do you have something unique that we could deem a Happy Hustle hack in the health arena?
Yeah. So, like, I don't know if you noticed behind me, but I got my indoor bike right behind me. And I would say, like, whether you're a runner, whether it's a hike, whether it's the bike, like, we did some research when I was at Under Armour after I sold my first company that suggested that even if you put your running shoes next to your bed, you're more likely to go for a run than if they're like in the closet or something. So like what I always say is like, almost put your intention out there the night before, like, get whatever it is that you're going to do, whether it's the bike, whether it's the run, like get it in front of you so that like right when you wake up, it's something that you're like, oh, I got to do this today. I'm going to do this today. So that would be my entrepreneur hack for fitness.
Yeah, that's powerful. I love that. I mean, and I think, I do it with my gym bag. I put my gym bag by the door, keep it readily accessible, and ready.
That's a great example.
Yep,
it's a great example.
Exactly. Let's talk about money.
That bag is sitting there, and you're like, oh man, I got to go.
Yeah, exactly. And I typically like to work out outside personally, but I'm very fortunate because I have the hot springs, the Bozeman hot springs, which are, there's a gym and then there's the hot springs connected. And so it's like my solace. But it's
also cold there. It's all cold there. You got to go to the gym sometimes. I understand.
Exactly. That. Yeah, exactly. So it's just, sweating, moving the body. You got to get outside. I do like to go for like weighted vest walks with my dog or hikes, and fly fishing in the snow doesn't bother me, but it is. That's
another fitness hack. Get a dog.
Get a dog. True. Yeah, I know you got 3. It is. Yeah. You're forced to take them out, or else you're a terrible parent.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about money. I always like to ask, I'm sure you've made a bunch. I know you've probably lost some. It's part of the game. When it comes to saving or investing or spending, wisely, do you have a happy hustle hack when it comes to money that you can share?
I think the biggest thing that I still do to this day, regardless of, the money I've made or lost, is, I still sit down every weekend and sort of reconcile everything I have. Like I always say, like one of the, and I say this is true of business too. Like when I started Map My Fitness, I literally was the one doing QuickBooks every single week. Like I was the one. I didn't hire an accountant. I literally was and I knew every dollar that went in and out of that business, every dollar. And it was that was like for the first 3 years of the company,
wow.
Before I had like an accountant, like somebody in finance, now I have a finance background, but I would just say like, I think where a lot of people go wrong is not really understanding truly where they're at from a financial perspective. And then the other one is like compounding. Like, I don't think people understand compounding that well at all. And I was, again, fortunate that I went to school for finance and learned about compounding early. But like, don't forget to put your 401k, and if there's a match that your company has, and take advantage of that, and do it every single month, because compounding is the magic. I mean, it's the magic of anything. I don't care if it's fitness. I don't care if it's, like your relationships, like incremental investment in anything, not trying to time the markets or time certain things. Like it is absolutely the magic in my mind of how to create wealth. Wow.
That's powerful. I mean, I love that. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy was one of my favorite books. I don't know if you've read that book, but just like
another book. Yeah.
Really the magic of compounding interest and knowing your numbers. I was not a finance background. I did not have a finance background, and I do stay. That's something I know. I'm like this visionary, an artist, entrepreneur, sure, but like you got to know your numbers. That's something I've taken a lot more serious as I've gotten more, as I have evolved in my entrepreneurial journey. I think you just got to know your numbers. So let's talk about spirituality. Spirituality meaning like connecting to a higher power. I think it's important to have faith in something, right? I don't care what God you believe in or what religion or another. I just think it's important to have faith. Do you have maybe a happy hustle hack when it comes to spirituality, something that you do to connect to a higher power that you could share?
I mean, look, it's easy for me, man. It's the outdoors. Like I feel most at peace, most connected to a bigger purpose, when I'm outdoors. So like, I say to people, like, I'm with you. I don't really like, no matter what you believe in, you will feel most connected to that outside of four walls when you are truly in nature.
Yeah. Amen to that. That's when you really tap in, and that's when a lot of the greatest ideas come to you too, when you give them time and space and you can listen. That's
100%.
We're so inundated with all this noise. It's so important to give yourself space and connect outside. I do want to put you through the rapid fire round. This is where I ask you random things, Robin, and you just answer first thing that comes to mind. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite food? Go.
Burrito.
Favorite movie?
The Natural.
Favorite book?
Shawshank Redemption.
Favorite outdoor adventure or experience?
Still a bike ride for me.
Love it. Best
Big, long
business
bike
advice?
Ride, 5-6 hours.
Nice.
Best business advice. Keep grinding. Don't give up. Don't give up.
What's your spirit animal?
Sea otter.
Nice. Never heard that one. Three things you're most grateful for.
My wife, my kids, and the life that I have.
And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, Robin, what does that billboard read?
Get outside.
Boom. Crush that rapid fire round, man. And I just want to take a moment, Robin, to acknowledge you for just sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, and just your mission to helping humanity get outside and really just connect with our beautiful planet and also protect it. This is a big part of, I know Outside's mission is conservation. I actually run a eco company as well called Eco Breakthroughs that's fighting the plastic pollution epidemic and climate change with my brother. And, this is something that I'm very passionate about, protecting it. And I know you are, and raising awareness and just getting people outside and away from their devices. I'm just really grateful for you and your mission and your team and just everything you guys stand for. So thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Carrie, I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah. Now, just one more time, mention the best place for people to connect with you and maybe where they can go to get that subscription again.
So the best place to connect with me is LinkedIn. That's one of the resources I use probably the most. And then to get the Outside membership, if you just go to outsideonline.com/outside plus, you can find all the details of the membership and everything you get there.
Love it. Now, final question, Robin. What does happy hustling mean to you?
For me, it means you definitely got to put in the work. You got to grind. You got to, put in the effort every single day, going back to the compounding discussion. But it comes with balance. Like if you lose it, you can't hustle if you're, on your back or, you're mentally blown up. So like it is about creating balance and remembering other things that are important in your life.
Mic drop. Robin Thurston, y'all. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love.